Hey Aries, how's it going? Before I turned the camera on, I was meditating on, tuning into your vibe, tuning into your frequency. I immediately just got, read verse 42 of the Tao Te Ching. And it was very quick, so I think I'm just going to open with that. Tao gave birth to one gave birth to two gave birth to three gave birth to all the myriad things. All the myriad things carry the yin on their backs and hold the yang in their embrace, deriving their vital harmony from the proper blending of the two vital breaths. What is more loathed by men than to be helpless, little, and worthless? And yet these are the very names the princes and barons call themselves. Truly one may gain by losing, and one may lose by gaining. What another has taught, let me repeat. A man of violence will come to a violent end. Whoever said this can be my teacher and my father. Like many verses in the Tao, this is one about humility, humbleness, modesty. What is more loathed by men than to be helpless, little, and worthless? And yet these are the very names that the princes and barons call themselves. A good, humble leader would consider themselves helpless, little, and worthless, especially without the help of the people that they lead, without the support of the people themselves. A good leader doesn't lead through tyranny or arrogance, but by understanding that they're part of a holistic, whole group of people. The two vital breaths, of course, are yin and yang, the light and dark, the up and the down, the positive and negative, the masculine and feminine, and so on. It's just the universal principle of manifestation. The one giving birth to two, the two to the three giving birth to everything. That's an ancient idea. Pythagoras illuminated it for Western civilization. This concept of number and the philosophy of number and the primordial aspects of reality can be visualized through number. The one and the two, and then the two come together like male and female, giving birth to a child, which is the three. And you can say the earth is the creation of the sun and moon, things like that. And it's interesting given that I also, the next thing I got in the meditation was just this feeling of my brain hemispheres being gently smushed together, just smushing the brain hemispheres together, the left and the right brain. And generally, the left brain is considered the part of the brain where analytical and logical functioning occurs, seeing details in things. And the right brain is seeing more patterns and bigger picture things and more wishy-washy creative stuff. And a complete human being doesn't favor either hemisphere, but uses both of them and balances both of them, fully develops both of them. Anyone who doesn't do that is limiting themselves and really just not taking full advantage of the aspects of who they are. People who are overly left-brained are very dry and intellectual. People who are overly right-brained are very neurotic and emotional and loopy and don't really have a grasp on anything. People who are overly left-brained lack imagination and can't see patterns, and both types of people get stuck in their ways very easily and don't want to. If you stick with one brain hemisphere for too long, you will begin to resist utilizing the other hemisphere. You'll become used to having your personality defined by, maybe someone is like a scientist and they're obsessed with scientific materialism and details and empiricism and positivism and all of this stuff, and they find parapsychology or alternative research or homeopathy or occultism and spirituality is completely detestable to them because they've gotten so used to thinking against it, and vice versa. Someone who's much too into mysticism and is having their personality dissolved in the divine, and they lose their individuality, and they're just so obsessed with with loopy new age stuff, or mystical thinking, detachment from the physical world, sort of Gnostic denial of the physical world, or they're just lost in their artwork and in their creative process, and they're just completely losing touch with the earthly realm, and they're going hungry, and they're losing their money, and they don't care about anything, and they don't care about what any analytical or logical thinking is going to bring them, and these people dissipate into nothingness, you know. So the left brain is kind of like an Ahrimanic impulse, or a very materialistic, you know, the spirit of darkness. In Persia, he's known as Ahriman. He's sort of the Persian Satan. And the right brain is Luciferian, that world-denying, 100% spiritual type of mentality. So you have Ahriman in the left brain pulling you into the world of matter and having you deny spirit. Then you have Lucifer in the right brain pulling you into the spiritual realm and having you completely ignore and deny the material realm. And these two forces kind of pull against each other. But in a sense, they work together, because they both kind of seek to destroy the human being by creating this imbalance. So they both kind of have the same goal. You know, Lucifer hates the earth and wants it gone. Ahriman hates the spirit world and wants it gone. Ahriman wishes he could enter the spirit world, but he can't for certain cosmic reasons. Lucifer, vice versa, wants to enter the physical world, but he can't for certain cosmic reasons. And this hatred and envy of these two worlds results in this extraordinary disharmony and conflict, with the human being right smack dab in the middle of this conflict. And bringing the two hemispheres together is essentially the role of the Christ spirit, the sort of messianic spirit, the perfect proto-human, the perfect archetype of a human being, holds these two forces in their proper place, keeps them in their proper place. Ahriman in the material realm doing his thing, Lucifer in the spiritual realm doing his thing, and the human being between the two, not being perturbed by either, but utilizing the power of both, like Archangel Michael slaying the dragon, or, you know, Saint George dominating the dragon, right? That's an important theme today for you, is learning how to smush your hemispheres together, your right and your left, utilize both, and don't get lost and sucked into one or the other. If you're watching this video, it's possible that your right brain hemisphere might be the thing that's out of balance. I doubt a materialist or a left brain dominant person would even have clicked on a video like this. So if you feel like you are losing touch, or getting too wrapped up in spirituality, or becoming too paranoid with your spiritual practices, and you're worried about results, or like you just really can't stand your life or the material realm of your life, then you might be a little bit out of balance. And you need to find that balance within yourself. And there is a lot of power in the right brain hemisphere and in the left, and it has to be utilized properly. Because the I Ching hexagram that I got for you is hexagram 51, taking action, changing, and we got a changing line all the way at the top, the sixth line, sixth from the bottom, changing to hexagram 21, eradicating. So taking action. So we have the element of thunder stacked on top of the element of thunder. Thunder above, thunder below. That's a whole lot of energy that needs to go somewhere. It's basically the energy of an earthquake, of a big shock to the system. And you might be experiencing a big shock to your system. Something that this changing line here at the top indicates that from the bottom of your being to the top of your being, the whole core of your being has been shaken and exhausted by something, some big change that has occurred, some big reformation, or you might be being called to make a reformation, to create a change, and it's going to cause a shock, or maybe you already did this and it has caused a shock in people around you and in yourself. And there's just been a big shakeup. But this, thunder signifies in the ancient world the birth of an eldest son. What that means is a new generation has begun, a new cycle has begun. And thunder also brings the springtime. It's a symbol of the beginning of spring, or of the spring in general. And the spring thunder and rain bursts forth, and everything comes alive in the earth. So the shock, although it's exhausting to you, it's going to have very fruitful results. It's going to be good. Once the initial shock of the shock wears off, you realize, oh, this is actually a really good thing. That, like, the fear was unfounded. There was no reason for me to feel this fear or to be exhausted by this. The results will bring benefits to everyone. So you might be having like some type of wake-up call, and it could be very difficult for you. Wake-up calls can be very, very difficult. It's like sometimes a wake-up call is not just a nice warm sunbeam coming through the window shining on our face as we sleep and waking us up. Sometimes it's a bucket of ice water that gets thrown on us. So it may have caused social upheaval, or there's just a lot of energy moving up from below, from like within the group, like people around you. Usually when we talk about something moving up from below, it's like within the masses. And this is an unusual hexagram, because usually the so-called host, or the most auspicious line, is generally the second from the bottom, or the fifth. But in this one, it's the first. And then your changing line is the sixth. So it's like the whole, that's what I mean by you just feel this whole shock in the core of your being, and it's probably affecting more than you, and it's probably affecting people around you as well. So something might have happened. It could be something that happened in society at large that we're all feeling the shock from. And you have been particularly exhausted by this. But you'll realize before long that it was actually a very good thing. Whatever this thing is that you're fearing or that exhausted you is actually going to have extremely beneficial results once you like kind of get over the huge change, the huge shift in your brain and the huge shift in your thinking, this bicameral smushing together. So if you are being called to make the change, you are the one who brought the change, you're the one bringing the reform, you just need to have some isolation time, some alone time for a little bit, so that you can learn how to control all this raw power you have within you, this thunder within you. That you're finding this deep power. You need to control it. You need to know how to control yourself so that you don't unnecessarily shock people around you. Because if you're going to bring a change or a big reformation, it will shock people and it will cause social disturbance. So you need to make sure that you're not unnecessarily shocking people, because they're going to be shocked anyway. So like, don't overdo it. Don't purposefully shock people. Just at the same time, though, you have to unleash your power when it's least expected in this case, because that's when it will be most effective. Because at this time, people might be talking poorly about you, and you kind of have to just make the change. Just do it when it's least expected. Make the reformation, just go through with it, and it's gonna shock the hell out of people, but it doesn't matter. As long as you're not unnecessarily shocking them or overdoing it or doing it out of spite or vengefulness. Just do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you're trying to freak people out. So you first need to have some isolation time to maybe cool off, let your reason, prevail over your emotions, and be very, very cautious as you step forward and take action, because there could be a lot of resistance to what you're doing, especially if you do it without social conscience or consciousness. If you just go out and do this thing, whatever it is, it's going to have some resistance from the people around you or from people at large, and you need to mitigate how much damage that will have against you. If you just kind of go out with spite and vengeance on the mind, then people will really resist you a lot. But if you go forth with virtue and honesty and calmness and serenity and cool-headedness, then the people who give you adversity won't be so strong. They won't so strongly push back against you. You'll have a much better chance of victory in that case. So yeah, that's the I Ching hexagram. That's what I'm getting for you so far. So I'm gonna, oh, by the way, my name's Alex. And it's nice to see you, Aries. But I'm gonna use my own divination system, pull some cards for you. Pull some tarot cards and stuff. But here I got like 24 symbols, 24 aspects of reality that I've developed over the years. I'm gonna spin a coin, and that's what the oracle will want us to focus on. It'll be an aspect of your life for us to pull some cards on and talk about. And we'll develop this reading further that way. All right, what does Aries need to know? Okay, what are we looking at here? The air element of your life. It's pointing at the symbol, the alchemical symbol of air. Applying it to the human being, air sort of represents our intellect, our thoughts. It also represents coolness and dryness. Actually, no. Coolness and moistness, according to Humeric alchemy. So there's something going on in your thoughts that we need to focus on. Something going on with the air element. Maybe there's some other significance in air. Something with your throat, something with your mouth, something with the way you speak, something in the way you communicate. Something going on with your throat chakra, maybe, or in the way you express yourself. Perhaps you need some coolness in how you express yourself and put out a little of that, turn down the stove. That Aries runs hot. Maybe you gotta cool down. So what does Aries need to know about the air element oracle? We've got the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords. So this is also an air card. Oh, come on. So the Knight of Swords, the element is definitely an airy card, and it's moving very, very fast, and that's appropriate. The I Ching is taking action. The symbol that you got was taking action, and if there's any equivalency between the I Ching and the tarot, I'd say taking action and the Knight of Swords are very much congruent with each other, very much reflective. So there's definitely something you're doing. You're probably the one bringing the reform. You're probably the one who's bringing this change. Or again, it could have, a Knight of Swords could have trampled you, or not trampled you, but brought a change. But I get the feeling that this is you, that you are the Knight of Swords, causing a change, and you're just galloping full steam ahead. So like a trained knight, well, like a knight, you have to be trained. You have to train yourself so that you can ride your horse fast, but still safely and correctly. Because there are people who can ride a horse fast, but they're really bad at riding, and then they hurt themselves, they hurt others, they hurt the horse, and it's not good when people try to show off or ride a horse without the proper skill and do so out of pride or what have you, even anger. Never ride a horse when you're angry. That's a lesson any rancher will tell you. Yeah, I think I need to clarify this with another card. I'm going to pull another card from another deck for you. Knight of Swords, the air element. Oracle, what does Aries need to know about the air element and the Knight of Swords? What does Aries need to know about the air element and the Knight of Swords? Mysteries, the mysteries, mysterious. So here we got a little blackbird and a scroll. In a wreath of flowers. So essentially, the mysteries, these are the mysteries of reality, and generally this is something that happens in our inner lives. We explore the mysteries of reality, usually, by going within ourselves. And I think this is just going back to that concept, that idea that I mentioned earlier of perhaps needing some isolation. Perhaps taking some time to yourself and looking within yourself. Learning about this power that's welling up within you, that you've unlocked or discovered. This tremendous power inside of you needs regulation. That's another quote from the Tao Te Ching. Regulate the thunder, or modulate the thunder. I forget which verse it is, but it says modulate the thunder. And this is the idea of conquering yourself. You know, the one who conquers himself can conquer the world. Only the one who conquers himself can conquer the world. So there is a deep spiritual mystery that you've stumbled upon that has unlocked a great deal of power for you, and you need to explore this further. And you need to really take that seriously. You need to take this meditation, this inner work, this self-awareness training very, very seriously at this time, so as not to unleash your power in inappropriate ways that will have not only negative effects on the people around you, but also on yourself. So modulate that thunder, and it's probably going to be a very heady experience for you. It's probably going to have a lot to do with a lot of thinking. Just try not to overthink, but still, I think that thinking right now is probably good for you. Again, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but I have the sense that you're probably right brain dominant, and thinking things through analytically might be somewhat of a challenge for you. So I think you're being asked to develop your ability to think and analyze spiritual matters, and not just wishy-washy, go with the flow anymore, just go follow your heart and all that new agey right brain stuff, but to really knuckle down and really understand intellectually what the spiritual mysteries are, how the human mind works, how this spiritual power wells up from within you, how it affects you, and really intellectually understand it, and not just feel it and blah, 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 all that stuff that you hear, all that right brain stuff. I think you've had enough right brain stuff for a while, and you need to focus on the left brain and ground all of that. You need to take all that spiritual mysticism and ground it in reasonableness. And if you can achieve that, then you will have a tremendous amount of power that you can unleash appropriately and effectively for great benefit for everyone around you. You need to balance the mysticism with reason. There's the path of revelation and the path of reason, right? This makes me think of that. The path of revelation is sort of the feminine receiving messages, or like your guides tell you things or whatever, you're hearing voices in your head and you're just receiving knowledge from what we consider to be higher beings, what you might consider to be higher beings, and you don't really think about it, you just trust that it's accurate and true. And then there's the masculine path of reason, where you research and experiment and experience and try to understand. So there's the receptive path of revelation, where you just accept what you're told, and then there's the path of reason, where you go out and you prove it and you figure it out and you verify whether it's true or not, and you come to your own conclusions, and you don't necessarily need to be told anything. Both are good. Both can be necessary at different times in our lives. And I think you're being asked to kind of put the path of revelation on the sidelines for a little bit. Probably not forever. We go back and forth with these things. And focus on the path of reason for a while. Really verify and understand intellectually what's going on with you and your inner life. So I'm going to pull a token. I burned 64 of these tokens, carved them to go with my divination system. One last thing for Aries. Let's see what we got for you. Oracle. What is the last thing that Aries needs to think about? The air element, the Knight of Swords, the mysteries. What's the last thing to tie this reading all together in a nice, pretty bow? The symbol for Aquarius and the number 11. So, again, Aquarius is a very heady sign. Aquarius is an air sign, of course. It's appropriate. Maybe you've got some strong Aquarius in your birth chart. Maybe you're dealing with an Aquarius. Or perhaps this sort of reformation or change you're bringing is an Aquarian change. You know, we've recently moved into the age of Aquarius, and there's a lot of reforms occurring. There are going to be the creations of new technologies, new computer systems, new ways for, you know, human beings to exploit each other, new systems of government, new types of laws. There's new types of stuff that's going to be unfolding. Part of the Aquarian age is no longer having a reliance on the truth, or people not caring about the truth anymore. Truth, spiritual truth, scientific truth, that is a Piscean concept. Truth is not really an Aquarian concept. Novelty and innovation is an Aquarian concept. If it works, it works. It doesn't have to be true as long as it works. That's sort of what an Aquarian thinks. And you're being asked to sort of navigate that, but not forget the truth. Part of the Aquarian age is there will be resistance to this idea. Because imagine the abuses that a government can have, where truth no longer matters in the public consciousness, right? They don't have to get to the truth of something. Then they can rule you through science and technology and not through justice or truth. They just rule you because they can. You know, they can rule you through drugs, through cybernetics, through computer systems. Like, they'll have all sorts of things that work to manage a population, and it will be about managing a population. So you can imagine how much resistance there will be against that, how many secret societies will arise that will be opposed to that type of government, and so on and so forth. How many secret societies will arise that will be for that type of government. And no one will care about secrecy or revealing secrets in a world, in an Aquarian world. Secrecy, people will get away with keeping secrets a lot easier in this age that we're entering into. I know a lot of people think we're entering the new age where everything will be revealed. And that is true at first. But that's the last hurrah of Pisces that's revealing these truths. It's not the Aquarian energy. It's the last Hail Mary of the Piscean age that's revealing truths before the new age. And Aquarius is going to go back to maintaining secrecy. And there will be less of an interest in revealing secrets in the Aquarian age. Again, you can imagine the abuses that can come from that. So, reforming something like that, a system that's stiflingly technocratic, or stiflingly, secretive and stuff like that, and people become complacent in a situation like that, to reform it and change it will be a great shock and will require a great deal of power. So you might be in a situation like that. You might find yourself in a stifling Aquarian situation where you're just surrounded by people who just care about innovation and novelty and don't really care about truth or spiritual wisdom. And I think this is why you're being asked to use your left brain now, because when you talk to these people from your right brain, they just don't understand you and they don't care. So you need to hit them where they live. They live in their left brain. So you need to understand their language and learn how to speak their language. If you're ever going to convince them or get them on your side or have this reform that you're working on be effective with this group of people, you need to speak their language. They will never speak yours. It's too late for them. But it's not too late for you to develop your skills at your interpersonal skills, your knowledge base. You can learn more than they can learn. They've become obstinate, apparently, and they're not interested in learning your right-brained mystical thinking. So you have to take that right brain mystical thinking and translate it into left brain terms, and that will bring you success. That's why you need your isolation and period of learning, and self-control and self-knowledge is to learn a new language, to bring the right brain and the left brain together so that you can clearly articulate, yes, the air element, speaking, your throat chakra, clearly articulate the spiritual concepts that you've unlocked within yourself. The spiritual power needs to be communicated properly, utilizing left brain, logical, analytical, scientific type language, empirical, and so on, and to speak within those terms. Wow, this is an intense reading for you, Aries. This is interesting. It sounds like you have a challenging but very fruitful and beneficial time ahead. I think this will forge your character in a very beneficial way. These types of challenges in our lives are really great. They shape our character. It's really exciting that you're actually having an experience like this, an adverse, difficult experience, but it's like the good kind of difficult, you know? It's like the kind of difficult that's something great, like your personality will change in such a great way, and you'll become so much more capable when you successfully navigate through this. So that's really cool. Wow, congratulations. I have no doubt like success is assured for you. You just gotta walk cautiously and just get your head right, and everything's gonna be pretty cool at the end of this road for you. So I think that's all the Oracle and I have for you today. It was great seeing you, Aries. Thanks for stopping by. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.